Let's look at another popular interview question. We want to check to see if a given string is palindrome, which means if we read it from left or right, we get the exact same sequence of characters. For example, ABBA is palindrome because if you read it from left, we get ABBA, and if you read it from right, we get ABBA as well. Another example is madam. Now, the simplest and the most obvious solution is to reverse the string and compare it with itself. So let's add a new method, public static boolean is palindrome. We give it a word. Now, the string class in Java doesn't have a reverse method, but here we can use a string builder. So let's create a string builder object, string builder, and initialize it with this word. Here we call input.reverse. Then we convert it back to a string. Now here we should check to see if the result equals this word that we get here. In Java, we cannot compare two strings for equality using the double equal sign operator, because this will check the references of these objects. If you're not familiar with this concept, you need to watch the first part of my Ultimate Java series. There, I talk about this in detail. So to compare two strings for equality, we should use the equals method. We pass the word and then return the result. So this is the simplest solution. Now, in this solution, we have to iterate this word 4 times. Once to add it to a string builder, once to reverse it, once to convert it back to a string, and once to check for equality. Not a big deal if you're dealing with a small string, but let me show you another approach that is faster. We can define 2 pointers, left and right. Initially, we set left to 0 and right to the index of the last character. Now we compare the characters at these pointers. If they're not equal, that means this string is not palindrome, so we return false. Otherwise, we bring these pointers inward. So we increment the left pointer and decrement the right pointer. Again, we compare the characters at these pointers. So we continue doing this as long as left is less than right. The moment these pointers meet and left crosses right, we stop comparing and return true. In this solution, we don't have to iterate the input string 4 times. We basically have to iterate half of the characters, because in each step of the iteration, we're comparing 2 characters. So the moment we get to the middle, we're done. Let's see this in code. So I'm going to declare 2 variables. Left, we set it to 0, and right, we set it to word.length -1. Now, while left is less than right, we check to see if the character at the left pointer, so word.char at left, is not equal to the character at the right pointer. If they're not, we return false immediately. Now, after each step, we should increment the left pointer and decrement the right pointer. Now, after this while loop, we return true, indicating that this string is palindrome. Let's test our implementation. So in the main class, I'm going to call string utils is palindrome and pass ABBA. Let's get the result and print it. So this is a palindrome string. What if we have ABBC? Obviously, this one is not. Beautiful. What if one of the characters is in lowercase? So we get false, but this is one of those cases that you need to check with the interviewer. You need to ask if your solution should be case insensitive. In this case, let's imagine we don't want a case insensitive solution. Now let's test an empty string. This is considered palindrome as well. What if we pass null here? We get a null pointer exception. So back in our method, let's check to see if word is null. Then we return false immediately. That's it. So this is how we check to see if a string is palindrome.